Los Angeles, the city of angels, a sprawling metropolis where dreams are made and shattered. In the late 1990s, this city became the epicenter of one of the most shocking police corruption scandals in American history. At its core was a man whose story would eventually inspire a Hollywood blockbuster, Rafael Perez. The Los Angeles Police Department had long been regarded as one of the most professional law enforcement agencies in the world. Its officers, dressed in dark blue, were symbols of authority and protection. But beneath this polished exterior, a cancer was growing, one that would shake the department to its very foundations and expose a web of corruption that stretched from the streets to the highest echelons of power. In 2001, the movie Training Day hit theaters, starring Denzel Washington as a corrupt narcotics officer. While the movie was a work of fiction, it drew heavy inspiration from real events. This is the true story behind Training Day, the tale of Rafael Perez, and the infamous Rampart Scandal that would forever change the face of law enforcement in Los Angeles. But before we dive in, some of the details in this story are disturbing and may not be suitable for all audiences, so viewer discretion is strongly advised. As always, remember to hit the like button, share the video, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to stay up to date with the channel. Alright, let's dive into the video. Rafael Antonio Perez was born in 1967 in Humacao, Puerto Rico. Like many before him, Rafael saw America as a land of opportunity, a place where he could forge a better life for himself. He moved to the United States as a young man, settling in the Philadelphia area. For Rafael, as for many immigrants, law enforcement represented a path to respect, stability, and the American dream. In 1989, at the age of 22, Rafael made a decision that would alter the course of his life, and ultimately, the history of Los Angeles. He joined the Los Angeles Police Department. The timing of Rafael's entry into the LAPD was significant. The department was still reeling from the Rodney King beating in 1991 and the subsequent riots that had rocked the city in 1992. These events had exposed deep-seated issues of racism and brutality within the LAPD, tarnishing its reputation and eroding public trust. For ambitious young officers like Rafael, however, this tumultuous period presented both challenges and opportunities. The department was under pressure to reform, to diversify its ranks, and to rebuild its relationship with the communities it served. It was against this backdrop of change and tension that Rafael Perez began his career in law enforcement. From the start, Rafael stood out. He was aggressive, effective, and seemed to thrive in the high-pressure environment of the LAPD. Working in some of the city's most dangerous neighborhoods, Rafael quickly built a reputation as a cop who got results. He made numerous arrests and developed an extensive network of informants. But even as he climbed the ranks, Rafael was treading a dangerous line. The daily exposure to crime, violence, and the darker side of humanity began to take its toll. For Rafael, the distinction between enforcing the law and breaking it was becoming increasingly blurred. In 1995, Rafael's career took a fateful turn when he was assigned to the Rampart Division's elite crash unit, Community Resources Against Street Hoodlums. Crash was the LAPD's answer to the city's growing gang problem. Its officers were given wide latitude to tackle gang violence in some of LA's most crime-ridden areas. For Rafael, Crash represented the pinnacle of his career so far, but it would also prove to be his undoing. It was here, in the pressure cooker of anti-gang operations, that Rafael's descent into corruption would begin in earnest. As the 1990s progressed, Los Angeles found itself locked in a desperate struggle against drugs, gang violence, and organized crime. The streets of neighborhoods like Rampart, Pico Union, and MacArthur Park had become battlegrounds. For Rafael Perez and his fellow officers in the crash unit, it was a daily war fought in the shadowy corners of the city. Crash officers operated in a world of moral ambiguity. They were expected to be tough, to bend the rules when necessary, to do whatever it took to keep the gangs in check. This mentality, while effective in some ways, also created a dangerous sense of impunity among certain officers. For Rafael, this blurring of ethical lines started small. A little money skimmed from a drug bust, some evidence planted on a known gang member. But in his mind, he was simply ensuring that the bad guys got what they deserved. But once he stepped onto this slippery slope, there was no going back. Before we continue on, if you are enjoying the video so far, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you don't like it, let me know down in the comments. Your support truly means everything. Alright, back to the video. The turning point came in 1998. In a brazen act that would ultimately lead to his downfall, Rafael stole 6 pounds of cocaine from an LAPD evidence locker. This wasn't for personal use. Rafael had crossed the line from corrupt cop to outright criminal, using his badge as cover for a lucrative sideline in narcotics trafficking. When Rafael was finally caught, he faced a crucial decision. Staring down the barrel of a long prison sentence, he made a choice that would send shockwaves through the entire LAPD. In exchange for a lighter sentence, he agreed to tell investigators everything he knew about misconduct within the department. What followed was a series of revelations that stunned even the most jaded observers of law enforcement. Over the course of several months, Rafael painted a damning picture of widespread corruption within the crash unit and beyond. He implicated dozens of fellow officers in a wide range of criminal activities. The list of offenses was long and shocking: beatings, false arrests, perjury, planting evidence, and even shootings of unarmed suspects. He described a culture of impunity where officers routinely violated the rights of suspects, falsified reports, and engaged in illegal activities for personal gain. As Rafael's testimony became public, the scandal exploded. The media dubbed it the Rampart Scandal, after the division where much of the corruption had taken place. The LAPD, already struggling with issues of public trust, found itself under intense scrutiny. At the center of many of Rafael's allegations was his former partner, Nino Durden. The two had worked closely together in Crash, forming a partnership that would become infamous. According to Rafael, he and Nino had engaged in numerous illegal activities, often using their positions as officers to facilitate their crimes. One of the most shocking incidents Rafael had described involved the shooting of an unarmed gang member named Javier Ovando. The details of the case were chilling. According to Rafael, he and Nino had shot Javier, then planted a gun on him to justify the shooting. Javier survived the shooting, but was left paralyzed. Based on the false testimony of Rafael and Nino, he was sentenced to 23 years in prison. His case would become one of the most egregious examples of the injustices perpetrated by corrupt crash officers. Javier Ovando would go on to say, "They took everything from me. My ability to walk, my freedom. And for what? Because they could. Because they thought they were above the law." As a result of Rafael's testimony, Javier was released from prison after serving 3 years for a crime he didn't commit. But he was just one of many victims of Crash's reign of terror. As the investigation widened, more and more cases of wrongful conviction and police brutality came to light. The fallout from the Rampart scandal was immense. Over 70 officers were implicated in misconduct. More than 100 criminal convictions were overturned. The city of Los Angeles faced lawsuits totaling in the hundreds of millions of dollars. But the impact went beyond mere numbers. The scandal shook public confidence in the LAPD to its core. It raised serious questions about police oversight, the culture of law enforcement, and the thin line between aggressive policing and outright criminality. In the wake of the scandal, the LAPD underwent significant reforms. The crash unit was disbanded. New oversight mechanisms were put in place. There was a renewed emphasis on community policing and building trust with the neighborhoods the LAPD served. But for many, the damage had been done. The Rampart scandal had exposed a dark underbelly of law enforcement, one that would continue to resonate in discussions about police reform for years to come. As the dust settled on the real-life scandal, Hollywood saw an opportunity. The story of Rafael Perez and the Rampart scandal was too dramatic, too filled with moral ambiguity and high stakes to ignore. In 2001, Training Day hit theaters. While not a direct retelling of the Rampart scandal, The film drew heavy inspiration from the real events. Denzel Washington's character, the corrupt detective Alonzo Harris, embodied many of the traits associated with the worst of the crash officers. The film was a critical and commercial success, earning Denzel Washington an Academy Award for his portrayal of Alonzo Harris. It brought the themes of police corruption and the moral challenges of urban law enforcement to a wide audience, sparking discussions that echoed those surrounding the real Rampart Scandal. As for Rafael Perez himself, his story didn't end with his testimony. After serving 5 years in federal prison, he was released in 2004. His life after prison has been marked by continued controversy and legal troubles. In 2006, Rafael was arrested again, this time for violating parole by possessing a firearm. He served another 3 years in prison. Since then, he has largely stayed out of the public eye, his name forever associated with one of the darkest chapters in LAPD history. The Rampart Scandal and the story of Rafael Perez left an indelible mark on Los Angeles and on American law enforcement as a whole. It served as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the importance of accountability in policing. A civil rights attorney had said, "The issues exposed by the Rampart Scandal, racial profiling, excessive use of force, planting of evidence, these are still very much with us today. We've made progress, but there's still a long way to go." In the years since Rampart, there has been a growing emphasis on community-oriented policing, on building trust between law enforcement and the communities they serve. But the tension between effective policing and respect for civil liberties remains a delicate balance. A current LAPD officer would say, "We're all aware of the history of Rampart. It's part of our training now. The message is clear. We're here to serve and protect, not to be above the law. But it's also a reminder of how easily things can go wrong if we lose sight of our core mission." The Los Angeles of today is in many ways a different city from the one Rafael Perez patrolled in the 1990s. Crime rates have fallen, community relations have improved, but the scars of the Rampart Scandal remain, a permanent reminder of a dark chapter in the city's history. The echoes of Rampart can be heard in the national conversation about policing and race relations. From Ferguson to Minneapolis, the issues of police accountability and community trust continue to dominate headlines. The story of Rafael Perez is, in many ways, a unique American tragedy. It's a tale of immigrant ambition twisted by power and corruption, of a system that allowed bad actors to flourish, and of the long, painful process of reform and reconciliation. The real training day wasn't confined to 24 hours, nor was it the story of a single corrupt cop. It was a years-long descent into a world where the lines between right and wrong became hopelessly blurred. Rafael Perez's journey from ambitious young officer to the center of one of the biggest police scandals in American history is a stark reminder of the ongoing challenge of ensuring that those who enforce the law also abide by it. As we continue to grapple with issues of police power, accountability, and community trust, the echoes of the Rampart Scandal continue to resonate. In the end, the true story behind Training Day is not just about Rafael Perez or the LAPD. It's about the ongoing struggle to ensure that law enforcement remains a force for justice, not an instrument of corruption. As we move forward, the challenge remains. How do we balance effective law enforcement with accountability and respect for civil liberties? The story of Rafael Perez offers no easy answers, but it continues to inform and shape the ongoing dialogue about the role of police in America. If you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, then check out these videos on the screen now. If you have a topic suggestion, please send it to the email in the description. And as always, remember to like, comment, share the video, and subscribe to our channel. I will see you in the next one.